like I'm gonna barf and pass out and...
Pee your pants all at once?
How'd you know?
Just let me take you to a better place.
Trolls band together. Once again, DreamWorks' biggest toy brand turned movie franchise is back with even more colorful pop music. And I couldn't care any less. Let me be straightforward and say that I'm not much of a fan of these troll movies. Sure, I wouldn't consider them among the worst films from the studio, but I easily classify them among their weaker works. The first movie is a prominent example of manufactured style over substance. While the animation is bright and pretty, and that song Can't Stop the Feeling was all over the place during the second half of the 2010s, there's not much else about it that's worth remembering.
Nut, why won't you sing?
Because singing killed my grandma, okay?
Or at least worth remembering that was intentionally good. The second, I'll admit, was slightly better, and was noted to be the first Hollywood movie to ditch the big screen in favor of going straight to people's homes digitally during the pandemic, but it doesn't help its case that it's just another dull jukebox musical for kids. And now that they're coming back with a third movie, I'll admit that I don't have high expectations with this one. And it's going to take a lot more than cramming in more celebrity voices and Justin Timberlake bringing back his Boys from the Backstreets for a new NSYNC song to convince me that this is going to be different. Then again, while those odds are low, they are technically not zero. You never know if this could be the one that will give the trolls a chance to shine among the rest and create something unexpectedly special. Especially when DreamWorks recently surprised everyone with a sequel that turned out to be one of their best features in years with Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. So now that the trolls are banding together after their world tour, is the third time the charm to make the trolls a true animation sensation? Or will this film's singing cause it to meet the same fate as Branch's grandma? Let's find out. The story. Well, this shouldn't be a surprise. In Trolls Band Together, the trolls are trying to get the band back together. One new piece of information that the third feature teaches us is that Branch was part of a boy band called Brozone when he was a baby. Back to the present, years after they've broken up, one of Branch's bros, Floyd, was kidnapped by the latest evil pop stars, Velvet and Veneer. And the only way to save him is for all the brothers to reunite and sing their way to the rescue. On one hand, as much as this may be an overused narrative, I get why the trolls would tell this kind of story. I mean, considering that this is a music-themed animated franchise and one of its key players was part of a world-famous band, it's inevitable that they would tell this kind of story and establish a big-name troll pop band.
Branch, it's time we find the rest of our brothers and get the band back together.
We're gonna have the best family reunion ever.
That part alone I could consider excusable for the trolls. What I'm not cool with, though, is the way that the story structure is an absolute mess. Yes, there is a core plot that takes the picture from point A to point B, but there is nothing around that foundation that's holding it all together. Just from watching it, I get the sense that being a movie is not even its priority, let alone tell a story. Instead, the film holds this very disjointed formula that it juggles around of entering a new area, finding a sibling, play a music video of remixes, and remind audiences of how evil the villains are. Rinse and repeat. The only thing I'd say feels consistent is the sugar high level energy to set this party-like tone and the comedy. Unfortunately, the humor isn't enjoyable enough for me to feel entertained from the experience, and if the jokes don't do much for you, then you'll just be left more annoyed by its hyperactive nature, as if you're stuck in a room with a kid who cannot stop running around and can only communicate by screaming.
Oh my gosh, I was being so rude. I've never met anyone from Branch's family before. I'm Poppy, Branch's girlfriend. Should we hug, fist bump, smile and wave for now and see where the night takes us?
And as it jumps to the brothers and the remixes, I was left wondering, what is this feature trying to do when it doesn't have anything to properly focus on? Does it actually want to be a movie, or just a set of kid-friendly music videos? But then came to mind another feature that I got the feeling that Trolls Band Together wanted to emulate, and that is the Beatles' Yellow Submarine. They're both very similar as psychedelically colorful animated films that are filled with well-known pop songs. However, what worked with Yellow Submarine was that, as surrealistic as it looks, it knows what it's doing and has the right balance of telling a quirky story and showing off music videos with its own style. There is an order to the chaos that makes the movie mesmerizing and immersive with its strange world.
It's all in the mind, you know.
Trolls Band Together, on the other hand, tried to copy what the Beatles did without understanding what made it the masterpiece we know today, and treats the story as an afterthought to the point that it only uses tiring tropes to move it forward and makes everything predictable right when they introduce their concepts, such as the perfect family harmony.
Branch, our brother is being held captive in a diamond prison.
And there's only one thing that's powerful enough to shatter Diamond.
The perfect family harmony.
I will say, though, that there are a few instances where I could see an attempt was made to make the plot relevant. There are times when it wants to connect itself with the 2016 movie and make those past elements feel significant to the picture. That, and I'll admit that there was an interesting idea with Viva and how she's Poppy's long-lost sister who still can't trust the Bergens. Deep inside this disaster of a script, there was an idea that would have made for an emotionally engaging sequel. And yet, with the way everything is so disjointed, they only serve as coincidental elements with little to no relevance to the plot. Especially when most of the movie is fueled not by artistic passions, but by executive decisions, where every creative choice is made for the purpose of making the movie as profitable as possible. I wasn't expecting a great story from Trolls, but this turned out to be more of a clustered mess than I thought. The animation. Well, if the writing failed to impress, then at least the animation can give you some form of substance. I've always considered the visuals to be the franchise's strongest trait, and the third movie is no different. Yes, a lot of the Trolls' signature style is still prominently displayed to fill the screen with around 90 minutes worth of eye candy. The colors are strongly vibrant, there's a variety of textures to keep its theme of scrapbooking, and the character animation features some great choreography. And now that boy band pop is the film's prominent music genre, the latter got a boost where it takes center stage and make the most out of the dances. Yes, everything you'd expect from the animation is here to look as nice as its predecessors. And yet, I don't find myself to be entranced by the visuals as much as I did before. I understand that this is a sequel and you have to stay true with the original style. Then again, The Last Wish broke that rule and that turned out to be amazing.
You want to see something cool?
But there's something about this that doesn't have that same element of surprise. It's true that the team at DreamWorks did a solid job, but the direction that this takes is the same thing that they did with the past two films. I've already gotten dancing trolls and a whole rainbow's worth of colors. What can you offer that's actually new? In the previous feature, Trolls World Tour, I was very impressed with all the different troll worlds that are based on their respective music genre. That opened the door to many creative possibilities that gave the movie an idea that even made me curious to know how they develop it. Trolls Band Together doesn't have that kind of hook, only relying on Branch's brothers and regrouping as a boy band, delivering only a minimal amount of strong new concepts that feel fresh, and makes the experience feel repetitive as it makes this just another Trolls movie.
Cloud Guy don't feel so good.
Then again, there are a few instances I will say that I was proven wrong. And just when I thought that there was nothing creatively new, Poppy and Branch found a way to deliver some surprises. During their quest to find Branch's brothers, while at one point go through a trippy 2D shortcut animated by Titmouse, they go to a couple of new lands that have introduced new species outside of the Trolls and the Bergens. First, there's Vacay Island, a beach-like area made out of pool toys and water accessories, filled with Muppet-like Dr. Seuss-looking inhabitants enjoying their time like they're in a resort. And then there's the main destination, Mount Rageous, a world that combines the glamour of a pop star's life and rubber hose animation from the golden era of cartoons. I'll say now that I don't hate it and it is a well-built place, however, I'm not sure if it works in the context of Trolls. First off, seeing that retro style feels like it's trying to get into a trend that was already over. It's like if DreamWorks saw what others did with the look, like in Cuphead or Steven Universe, and decided they want a piece of that praise too with their own cartoony villains. Also, am I the only one that feels like they look out of place in contrast to the Trolls? Yes, the franchise's style can be loose and a bit over the top, but their cartooniness is a different brand when compared to the style of the 1930s. Again, what they crafted is fine, but this doesn't look like it belongs in a Trolls movie. Especially when there's this weird notion that I guess people exist in the Trolls universe now?
Please, Veneer.
It's nothing personal. I just love my sister. And all my fame. And money. And things I bought.
Is the animation of Trolls band together good? Undoubtedly yes. Like the other films, it's well crafted, it's creative with how it brings the music to life, and it's a true eye-catcher. And yet, it's not as fresh as it was before because most of it is just repeating itself. And if the animation doesn't do enough to really try something new, then there's nothing else that the Trolls can offer to keep my interest. The characters. While the movie wants to do so many things at once, like create music videos with remixes, explore a few different worlds, say bad jokes, and tell a lazy plot of getting the band back together, it's no surprise that it doesn't have time to consider something like character development. And yet, that is probably the dumbest thing about the movie. This is supposed to be a feature where the characters take the most importance, especially when this is about one of the franchise's main characters coming to terms with his past and reunite with family members that he hadn't seen in years. It's already bad enough that the film is asking the audience to come in with a pre-established connection with Branch and Poppy, but it then does nothing to grow any of its recurring characters or have the new ones deliver a strong contribution other than their playlist. They really are just a cast of one-dimensional tropes that only fill one role to the picture. Starting with Branch himself, as much as he secretly wants to be with his brothers again, he maintains his signature grumpy personality by trying to tell everyone that he's no longer a baby.
Bitty B, maybe a smaller diaper.
If this diaper was any smaller, I could taste it.
As for the other Troll star, Poppy is reduced to being Branch's eccentric girlfriend, sometimes giving him support, but mainly being on screen for the sake of being too talkative.
Remember earlier when I said you should open up to me and be real?
Well,
You could have started by telling me you had a secret brother!
former brother.
That's not how DNA works!
And while her friends cannot tag along, the only one who joined the journey is Tiny Diamond. Because why put in the effort to be a good comic relief when being a baby with a low booming voice is apparently enough to be considered funny?
I am a big boy now, and I'm on a man-sized rite of passage to learn lessons of life, courage, and maybe love.
There is also Bridget and Gristle Jr. who came back as newlyweds, and while it is nice to get an update from the two, they're mainly there to just be that. Elements to connect this with the first Trolls movie and to somehow be there to help the gang during the climax. As for the new characters, you have the villains Velvet and Veneer, who wants to steal the essence of the Trolls so that they can become famous. Maybe a little similar to the Bergens in the first, but they really are nothing more but the typical straightforward greedy villains, with one of them having a bit of a conscience.
And they're draining him of his musical talents to fake their own fame. If the band doesn't reunite to save him soon, they could lose him.
But of course, you can't talk about band together without talking about the band, and each are only given one forgettable trait. There's John Dory, the oldest and the brothers' least favorite for being too bossy, Clay, who's more of a business kind of guy, Spruce, who became a father, and Floyd, the kidnapped one and is also the kindest to Branch. But then there's Viva. I'd argue that this movie would have been better if it were about her instead of Branch's brothers. Separated during the Bergen attack when they were both so young, she and other trolls found refuge in an abandoned mini-putt, completely unaware of the changes that occurred over time thanks to Poppy. Like I said before, this could have been a great opportunity to tell a story that not only helped expand the overall narrative of the Trolls franchise and explore more of the concepts that were previously established, but also something that could greatly help audiences emotionally connect with characters like Poppy on a greater level than in the predecessors. But that's not what the movie wanted to do. In fact, this side plot is almost irrelevant to the main story, other than to find one of the brothers, to the point that giving Poppy a sister is laughably pointless, and it only provides the movie an additional annoying chatterbox.
So, fantastamazing is my own personal word. It means fantastic and amazing. I used to say amastic, but then I was like, that's not as good.
There could have been anything else to highlight what this movie is about, rather it be the new worlds or even the music. But the fact that the movie decided for this to be about the characters, while putting in no effort to make them interesting or have any depth, feels like the Trolls' biggest joke. You know, I never hated DreamWorks Trolls. I don't like the movies, but I can look past the flaws to appreciate some of the good that they were capable of pulling off. This time, however, I'm just done with Trolls. I can't even bother to give it credit for the few good things it did. I feel like this movie caused the franchise to overstay its welcome. Trolls Band Together is the latest example of a corporately manufactured mess. A soulless and disjointed animated feature whose existence is only to milk the franchise while it still has some worth, without any proper focus on what to do to expand its universe. Sure, the animation is expectedly bright and colorful as it livens up some fan-favorite pop songs, but they're no longer impressive enough to keep this away from being unpleasantly bad. It does nothing to hide its embarrassing script with a lazy story, an annoyingly hyperactive tone, bad comedy, flat characters, and offers next to nothing that is new to keep the Trolls feeling fresh. I know there will be some that will disagree with me, and the ones I'm sure will have a good time are the fans of the Trolls films. If you not just like, but love Trolls and Trolls World Tour, then you will most likely enjoy this movie. If you don't love them, then don't even bother with this one. I recommend skipping this so that you don't end up with a major distaste for Trolls. But if you want to look for something better and enjoyed your time with this review, then how about giving this a like and subscribe to my channel? My videos will show you how to do colorful chaos the right way. Not only has this ruined the franchise for me, but I'd even go as far and say that this is the weakest feature from the studio in years. And with a title like that, it also deserves the Animat seal of garbage. I know they're not the same kind, but I feel like I got trolled by DreamWorks with this sequel.
Wow! Too much hustle is a thing.
Huh. Look at that.